Welcome to Lair the Alchemist, and welcome to another edition of Midweek Maiden. This is where we get together with you on Wednesdays to discuss all things Iron Maiden. Haven't done a Midweek Maiden in some time, so since we're back, I thought I would make it special and bring on a special guest joining me from the Maiden A-Z Podcast and the Megadeth Podcast. So far, so pod. So what is Jonatan? Jonatan, thank you for joining me here. Jonathan's been here at the Lair before, so thank you for joining me here again at the Lair, Jonatan.
Good to be back. It's been a while. It's been a bit. Yeah, you've been on our show since last time.
Yeah,
which was obviously had to happen. It had to happen. It was
fun. And for everybody out there, I'm going to leave a link to both of the podcasts that Jonatan does. And his Maiden A-Z podcast is one of my favorite podcasts. What they do, Jonatan and his partner Eric, and they usually have a guest or two that join them, and they go alphabetically through the Iron Maiden catalog songs. And I believe your latest episode is Number of the Beast.
Correct.
Right? Yep.
Yeah.
So they're on Number of the Beast. I had the pleasure of joining them for Murders in the Rue Morgue. That was a ton of fun. We also had Henrik, who's been on the channel here before too. Henrik did a deep cut album episode here at the Lair. So we all got together, the four of us, and we discussed Murders in the Rue Morgue. So definitely check out the links below to Maiden A-Z and his Megadeth podcast. They're both really awesome, and I am always excited when they show up in my podcast feed. And these guys are the hardest working guys, I think, in the music podcast business. These Maiden A-Z's show up feels like every couple days, every like 3, 4, 5 days. There's a new
That's
podcast.
only when I compensate for delays. It's really once per week with some small planned breaks sometimes now and then. But it's really supposed to be every Friday. It pretty much is, if you look at the numbers and how long we've been at it. And we're also on YouTube now, actually.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll leave a link to that also then. Yeah. Pretty
much all the content is you, actually. The main vid is called Discovering Iron Maiden in Mountaintop 1981. I took it from our Zoom call, but it's a great Maiden backstory. I don't know, you might have told it on Midweek Maiden or
another YouTube show. Probably have. Yeah. It's basically, I've told this.
Yours can go see it again. Go see it again. It's a great one. I spliced in some footage as well from, that goes with the story. And I like all the backstories that we've had. Often I can imagine myself being there pretty easily. And also I can get to know the person via that. So they're always great for both those reasons and more. But I would say yours will stand out. It was it's a great Maiden backstory,
Awesome. Well, I'm not going to retell it. I think I've told it on the channel, but I won't retell it. You can go. I'll link it down below. I'll link the video down below. So if you guys want to hear how I discovered Iron Maiden, you can go check out
Mountaintop.
In Mountaintop. Yes, in Mountaintop, Pennsylvania.
10-gallon hats. No chicken picking though. Just 10-gallon hats. And don't go over the 5th fret. That's for guitarists. That's a good one.
All right. Well, for today's episode, we are going to be ranking the songs on Iron Maiden's Somewhere in Time. This is what number album is this for Iron Maiden? To put you on the spot here, what is it, like 6?
Number
7?
6th record.
6th record. Okay, yeah. Iron Maiden's 6th
first
record.
One I acquired on vinyl as well. Before I really got into vinyl, my first phase back in early parts of high school or junior high or whatever you call that in an American sense. So this one was not expensive either. And obviously the cover art kind of warrants a vinyl buy, even if you're a CD guy, which I was then. 6th record, yes. After the infamous World Slavery tour, Bruce is frozen in ice like Han Solo and writes no songs on this one.
Yeah, it's an interesting album because I think in some ways one could, at least here in the US, I think that Iron Maiden, Live After Death was a real peak for the band. And I talk about this on the channel about well-timed live albums. Well, I think Live After Death was perfectly timed. The band was just at the peak of their powers. They were touring like crazy for the Power Slave album. So Live After Death was perfectly timed. And so Somewhere in Time kind of feels like they're sort of starting a new chapter in a way. Yeah. And for me personally, I think I may have mentioned this on the podcast. I know I've mentioned this on the channel a bunch of times. I have a video talking about this whole thing, about how I started drifting away from metal right around 88, 89, but I was still 100% into it here when Somewhere in Time came out. In fact, I can remember exactly where I was, where there was another kid in my school who was really into Iron Maiden, and he somehow managed to sneak out during the school day to go get this. And I was taking a music theory class at my high school. It was like an elective class. And it was kind of near where our cafeteria was. And I was sitting there and I could see him through the window. And he was just holding up the record like, I got it. I got that, you know.
Oh, and that sleeve too.
I think he had the record and the
it.
cassette. I think he bought both, because I remember seeing him later in the day and I was like, so what does it sound like? You know, and he was, oh, listening to it in my car and everything. So, and you know, they were all over MTV at this time. The Wasted Years video just got played like crazy on MTV. Stranger in a Strange Land got played like crazy on MTV. But it's kind of an interesting album because you can sort of hear them, you know. Live After Death, I think, closed a chapter for the band, and they're starting to experiment and do some different things. And they're not too far. I mean, you know, 3 albums after this and Bruce would be gone. Yeah, Bruce had another 3 albums after this. So, you know, the winds are sort of starting to change. The late 80s thrash metal's in full force. You know, some of these more older guard bands, Judas Priest and AC/DC and Black Sabbath and Dio, they're all sort of maybe not putting out their best albums. And it's, you know, it's a transition time in heavy metal. Thrash is coming in. The 80s is starting to draw to a close. So it's an interesting album. But for me, it's a fun album. I come back to this album quite a bit because I feel like the songs on here aren't really overplayed. They don't play a lot of these songs consistently in their set lists. I mean, maybe Wasted Years would be the song that gets the most, you know, regular rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been that and Heaven Can Wait for a long time, for the most number of years, like since the tour, which is, you know, this album is just exactly as old as I am. I think 1 month older or 2 months older. So it's been a while, right? I'm turning 37 this fall, so is Somewhere in Time, and they've only ever performed really Wasted Years and Heaven Can Wait, except for a couple of tries at, I think 3 times they tried Stranger back in '99. So it has been neglected, and obviously that's part of the upcoming 23 tour.
Yeah,
where we'll go back to this. I will also time a well-timed plug. We have an episode called 1986 on So Far So Pod So What that very much starts off from what you were just talking about, the old guard getting slightly more tired, or at least, you know, they are so deep in it, so they have to try new things, and they have the old references. Where are we gonna go? We're not as young anymore. And, you know, the rise of thrash, obviously, and then not long after black metal, death metal, all of that. And also, of course, a year of Candlemass, this one, 86. So which is, you know, a big fave of yours and mine, rather recently, actually, much because of Matthias, our friend, really come to dig him a lot. But that was also 86, right? Which was not an 80s sounding record. Not really, like far too slow. But Priest would, you know, release Turbo, and Maiden did this one. So there was they tried to go forward, still young enough to try new things. And did it work out? Yeah, that's up to your taste. I love this record. I think it's great.
Yeah. And they've got this upcoming tour coming up where, you know, everybody's sort of picking out their wish lists and hoping. I've heard you guys on the podcast talk about it, you know,
several times. Several times by now.
Did you hope that they're going to play from this album? So, all right. So what we're going to do today is there's 8 songs on the album. Let me give everybody the 8 songs. We've got, starts off with Caught Somewhere in Time. Then we've got Wasted Years, Sea of Madness, Heaven Can Wait. Side 2 opens up with The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, then Stranger in a Strange Land, Deja Vu, and Alexander the Great. So we're going to be taking these 8. We're going to start with Jonathan. He's going to go from number 8, which is his least favorite song on the album, and he's going to work his way down to his favorite song on the record. Now, I'll say this for myself. I have a feeling that you're going to feel the same way. We both love this. We both love this album. So even though something may be our least favorite on the album, doesn't mean that we think it's a dreadful or, absolutely terrible song. If it is, we'll let you know. But
Yeah.
in general, this is an album that I like everything on this
I know
record.
it's strong.
There's nothing like really awful or terrible on this album. So, all right. So go ahead. Give us your list. Give us number 8, your least favorite song on Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time.
Yeah, so I agree. It's a very strong record. I didn't like every song when I bought it. I think that was maybe 12 years after its release or so. When I was around 12, it was one of my first CDs. And I really remember vividly listening to it the first time and loving the sound of it, which has become part of, I work a lot with sound and I do some mixing and stuff. And this is one of the holy grails. But Martin Birch has a few. So I'm not going to go into all of those because then we're lost. But this is a good
Somewhere in time.
That was exactly, somewhere in time, or several places in time, I think. But this is a great production, and I've felt that from the start. And the songs themselves have sort of come in one by one more so than immediate hit. And I think this first one, though, that I'm going to mention, I'm not making these up. Obviously, I'm going by all of my Maiden expertise and experience, rather. But I'm coming up with them as we go because it's so hard to pick. But the first one is the easiest for me, and that's Heaven Can Wait. That's easily the least favorite for me. Always has been, kind of anyway, on this record. And I still think it's a kick-ass song. But I feel like amongst the other adventures of this record, it's a less adventurous song. But I have to say, where it gets a little adventurous in the solo bit and in the choir bit, the whole crew in the room singing whoa whoa, when that occurs, when it kind of takes a detour, I think it's really, really at its best and really, really cool. If they pull this one out live, when I see them, it's happened once or twice, I dig it. It's not thinking, it should have been Stranger or it should have been Master of Puppets. No, I'm not thinking anything like that. It's a great track, but it's the least favorite of mine. And maybe because it's a little bit jolly, a little bit,
Yeah.
It reminded me of Eurovision first time I heard it. Yeah, because recently there was Charlotte Pirelli from Sweden singing "Take Me to Your Heaven," and I felt that this chorus had bits of that. I'm not in love with the chorus, so maybe that's why it's my number 8.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to go down? You want to go? Yeah, just.
Should I do my whole list? We're not going back and forth.
Yeah, let's go back and forth. Yeah, let's go back and forth. All right, my number 8 is the same. Heaven Can Wait. For the reasons you said, a lot of it is. I'll let you use the word jolly. It is the chorus is a little too sort of sing-songy to me, and Heaven Can Wait, Heaven Can Wait. The way it just keeps repeating and repeating.
And then with
I don't even like
crowd interaction, Heaven Can?
Yeah, I don't even like
it's almost like a lottery show or something.
The verses to can understand why it happened to me.
Only a dream.
It's just way too major key sounding. Yeah, it's way too major key sounding, and it's just too poppy. So that lands at number 8 for me also. All right, what do you got at number 7? Your 7th favorite or least favorite
immediately gets hard. Also, it's fun that you call it pop. It's like 8 minutes long, I think, still. Obviously, it's Steve Harris, and he's really becoming Steve Harris, I guess, at this point. So, okay, it gets harder now. Got to go with The Loneliness. No, I'm going with Sea of Madness on number 7. And I think that's a really good song. So that's weird to put it second last. It's a really cool track, obviously a Smith track, and he was one of those guitarists that really made me want to play more and, just to get my tone right and everything. I think I drifted into a Dave Murray over age, which I do in the tribute band now as well. Infinite Maiden also has YouTube, but I think it's all on the bass players because he already has a presence, 7,000 subscribers or something. But anyway, it's Sea of Madness is a great track, and it has a beautiful solo in it, a really cool breakdown. Bruce is even on the falsettos a little bit, I think, a little falsetto there in the middle. It has a cool pace when it starts. So what's not to love, but it's number 7.
Okay. My number seven, you almost said it there. You almost picked my number seven is Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. And I think for me, it's because they sort of do this really fast thing with Caught Somewhere in Time.
Right.
And it works better for me, much better on Caught Somewhere in Time. So it feels like a little bit like repeating, like, it's
And
sort of the
maybe with
same
less
type of
less
song in some
yeah,
ways. And
maybe with less urgency or something, because it has a
yeah.
lot of that on-beat snare. And
And
I
the
know you've
thing, the
been
thing
listening to
that
your
ruins it a
fusion and
little
stuff.
bit for me too, and it makes it drop down to my second, least favorite song on the album, is just the lyrics. Like, I remember thinking at the time, he's singing about somebody running, and
Hmm.
this just
It's all
seemed
so
really like
futile. It's futile, John. It's futile.
it really seemed to be like even as a kid getting it. I remember kind of thinking like, wow, these are like kind of he's searching for topics to sing about. And I was so
I
used to
think he
Iron
saw a
Maiden.
film. He saw a film. It's happened. It's been known to happen. I think this was the same thing. He saw a film, and I think he liked the stubbornness of the main character, that
Yeah.
it refuses to win the race because he's running for his prison.
Yeah, but hey, Where Eagles Dare is the title's taken
It's a
from the
better
film.
song.
That's way cooler
It's a better
subject
song.
matter than talking about
Uh,
somebody running a long distance. I mean, it
and
just,
the
I
title
don't know.
itself is goofy as all hell.
Yeah.
Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner.
Yeah, it's just the title doesn't work for me. And I remember thinking at the time that, like, yeah, that they're just sort of, I don't know, it just felt like they're sort of running out of ideas of things to sing about. And I just,
Got
so
to
so
keep
because of that, it lands
running.
at number seven for me.
Yes, yes. So
All right.
I've already said some things about it. It's my number six. But yeah, I mean, I would add I did that episode with your friend Matthias. I don't know if you heard it. We did it over in Eric's place, like in the same room type episode. And I mean, I think we kind of loved it when we did that one. And I kind of do, especially if I pluck it apart like we do on the show, right?
Mhm.
There's some great parts in this, especially melody wise, rhythmically, not as exciting. It has that on-beat snare, and I was gonna say before, you obviously got into your jazz fusion and stuff, so you're a rhythm guy at some place. You're a bass player as well, and this song is not that exciting rhythmically. I think that's my reason to put it there.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not in love with the concept either, so I'm not going to argue with you on that one. It's number six.
Okay. My number six. Now, from pretty much from here on out, I don't want to say I could flip any of these, but I really like pretty much everything from here on out. It's really only Heaven Can Wait and Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner that I have any kind of issues with, but got to put them in some kind of order here. So number six for me is Deja Vu. It probably lands here. I like the fact that there's a lot of changes in the song and it's sort of proggy in some ways. It's another up-tempo one, but it just lands here on the list for me, maybe because it's just not quite as catchy as some of the songs that are going to be later on my list.
Yeah.
So what's your number five? We are on
I'm
number
gonna
five.
echo that. Definitely, it's Deja Vu, and I love this track. I love the Odd Murray number on every record, especially in the '80s, and also on Brave New World. Actually, I think he did really well with 3 songs on that one, long ones too. But in '86, he did Deja Vu, or Not Vuja Day, as he says in the old interview, and it's a great track. It's really cool. I mean, I've said many times on my show, I got into music via Game Boy, and I played Mega Man, and those songs really have this sound, or Only the Good Die Young type sound, galloping, super hyper melodic. You could almost call it heavy metal. So I always thought that Iron Maiden sounded like Mega Man. Obviously, it's Mega Man sounding like Iron Maiden. I think the first game was released in '88 or so. So this one was fresh on the shelves in the homes of those Japanese composers, I'm sure. But yeah, I love this song. Completely love it. So yeah, it's still number 5. I mean, it's all right. Number 5. They're still high up on
Yeah.
a legendary album. It's Deja Vu. Number 5. Yeah.
Okay. Number 5 for me, and I feel bad putting this here because I do really, really like this song, and this is one that I'd love to see them pull out on this upcoming tour, is a Sea of Madness. Love, like, I don't really have any problem with this song. I really like the chorus in it. The verse, I like kind of the feel of it. This is for Steve Harris's bass playing too. I think he has some really great bass playing on
Oh
this
yeah,
album.
it's driving, right? Clucking.
Yeah, he's
Very
really
cool.
driving this one. You know, his bass, as usual, is very upfront in the mix. I like the guitar solos in this one, but again, we've got some really strong songs, so it lands at number 5 for me, or very respectable number 5.
Yeah.
All right, now we're really getting down to the nitty gritty here. We're
Nitty
number
gritty
4.
for sure. There's 2 songs on each side left, and number 4. Yeah, it's Stranger Than Strangeland for me. That feels weird though, to have it so low on a list. I don't know if that's really low on this album again, but it's coming in now with no negative words on it. I love this track, absolutely love it. And we tend to play it with the cover band. Love playing it. Of course, it's the other guitarist, Christian Niemann, who's in Sorcerer, and he was in Therion back in the day as well. He's world class player. I make do, but he's world class, and you know, just playing behind the solo, or the second half of the solo actually, because the first half I'm not even playing. I'm drinking water down on the floor, and then I get to kick in the middle of the solo, and that's one of my favorite bits to play. Just to play those standard Iron Maiden chords, but underneath that amazing solo, which is my favorite guitar solo in this band. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about my number 4.
Nice. Okay, my number 4, and I think this one lands at number 4 for me, just because I'm a little bit burnt out on this song. It's one that when it comes live, I like it in a live setting, but when it's on the record, it might be I will often skip this song because I'm a little burnt out on it, but it's Wasted Years. If you ask the 12, well, let's see, 1986, I was 16. So if you, no, this came out in, what year did this come out?
86.
88, right? Okay.
No, 86.
86.
Like me.
All right. All right. If you ask the 16-year-old me, I just couldn't get enough of Wasted Years. So they played that video like mad on MTV. I thought it was just so cool. Them in the studio, Steve with his bass, and Bruce with, you know, up against the microphone. Love it. But I'm going with How I Feel Today, and How I Feel Today, I'm a little burnt out on this song, but it's still such a classic Maiden song. I love the lyrics, you know, this whole sentiment of the lyrics. I mentioned when we did an episode here with you and Eric where we had a dream set list, and I said that they should have this as the opening. They should play this before they come on, before Dr. Doctor. They should play this and have like a montage of clips going. So I love the whole lyrical thing, the chorus. I mean, it's just a fantastic, huge sing-along chorus, but there's just a burnout factor for me on this one. So I gotta respect it, because, you know, I used to just love this song so much. That's why it's not lower on my list, but it lands where it is due to a certain degree of burnout.
Fatigue. Yeah, not the fatigue, but it's a cracking tune. It's a killer song, really is. It's not the typical radio metal song either. Not really. It's too long and perhaps too sad to, you know, join the ranks with, I don't know, the Quiet Riot or Def Leppard or something. It's moody. It's a bit like its composer himself, I would say. So I like that track, and of course it's one of my top 3. If you follow closely, you know that. And it's Not number three. Where are we? Number
Number
three. Yeah,
three.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not number three. The number three is Alexander the Great for me, which is a song that actually I think it's one of the songs that has the most varying opinions in the circles around my podcast or around, friends in the music scene and all that. This song is a bit of a, we've had words on this track, I
Yeah.
can say.
I've heard you
Like
guys go talk about this one. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that was long ago. The episode, I don't recall that, but that was with Henrik. I recall. I remember that. But
Well, just recently, when you were talking about this upcoming tour,
oh yeah,
we
with
had a little
Joel
bit
from
of a
Maiden A-Z. That's
discussion
right.
on
Yeah, he doesn't like
Alexander.
this song at all. He doesn't like it at all.
Henrik doesn't like it?
No, Joel, that was in
Oh,
the discussion recently.
oh, right.
He doesn't like it. But yeah, even in the tribute band, I came in and it's like, yeah, I prefer it over to Tame a Land. And the others like, ooh, really? And I do. I think it's better than that one. And I said in the show, and I will say again, it's mainly for the instrumental contents of the song. I think the lyrics are a bit hokey, a bit Wikipedia metal. But then on the other end of that, I know of an historian over in Norway. He became an historian because he loved this track so much. So how hokey is it then? But it's kind of, encyclopedia metal lyrics in that one. The end is always what gets people. And even me as a kid, like, he died of fever in Babylon. Is that a proper end to this story? Isn't that a bit like abrupt? But amazing song, clearly one of the all-time highs in epic Maiden stuff, and well deserving of this bronze medal, I would say. It's a great track, Alexander. Number three.
Okay, my number three is also Alexander the Great. Boy, this is like, when it comes to like set list wishes, this is like sort of the white whale, the holy grail that you hear a lot of people like. And this is one that's, there's all kinds of rumors about how they sort of toss this around at one point, and some people say Nico, put the kibosh on it because he didn't, feel like he could do it or wanted to do it. There's just all kinds of like stories around this, and you just know that if they play this on this upcoming tour, there's going to be a lot of hardcore Iron Maiden fans.
I think they will.
Heads are going to explode.
I think they will. I have a feeling they will. And also, Nico has mentioned in, I guess by now, maybe 10-year-old interview or 5, 10, I don't know. Maiden move slowly these days, but he has mentioned in, let's say, recent years that, one song I'd like to play is Alexander the Great. So he mentioned that especially as a song that he wanted to do before there was even talk about this tour. So if it was him putting the, what did you say, kibosh?
Kibosh, like putting
if it was indeed him doing that.
On it. I heard that they tried it at some point, but it was Nico, or maybe again, this is, these are just internet stories. I think that people have wanted this song for so long now that people are like trying to figure out why it hasn't ever been played, or it's almost taken on this like paranormal UFO Bigfoot, thing. Does it even does the song even exist? It's like, even
exist? It's the one. I think it's the one. If you look at the entire discography, I think it's the one like most white whale among fans in what to come or what to appear in a future set. I think that's the one, and I think the band knows it, and I think it's going to be on the 23 tour. I'm pretty sure it's going to be there.
And it's an epic. For me, it's the last great. Well,
come on, Seventh Son title track is great.
Is it the last great Iron Maiden, Steve Harris epic? Maybe
Seventh Son for me. I prefer.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, but I do really like this one. I love the verses in it. Hail to the east and a bottom. Alexander. The chorus is really great.
Production shines on it too. The production shines on this one. I think it's the best synthesizers on the record is in this one.
Yeah,
and
it really works solos here.
Guitar solos are absolutely incredible. Nicely, coolish. It's cool that they're chopped up. So Adrian plays 3 little solos, you could say. And in between, you get Ari coming in with, and more solo. And then along from Dave, I think it's one of the absolute best solo bits in the band. And there are several of those on this record. It's guitar gold, this record. It's so good guitar-wise. I would say, it's one of the best heavy metal guitar records ever. Definitely.
Yeah, just a great song and all the changes in it. And the chorus is great. Yeah, the whole, I love that verse groove. Again, it feels very epic. It starts off with the spoken word thing, and
My son.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just fantastic. So a great way to end the album. But it comes in at number 3 for me. So
Number 3.
all
Seems
right,
like a good
we're in
album.
the what do we hear? Golden silver
Silver and
metal
gold, just like
scores.
Adrian Smith's future. Yeah, not long after this, right? Silver and gold. So the silver is wasted years for me, and this is maybe stepping a little bit outside of my today perspective because obviously it's one of the more ran through songs, but I think it's one of those tracks that is so good that I can't really ever get tired of it as such. We
Mhm.
played it a fair bit too. I would say I like playing Stranger more. It's more fun to play Stranger. This one, as Dave, you don't do much really. I don't even think Dave is on the record on this track. I can't hear anything that sounds like him. It's a very Smith song, but that's also why it's my number 2, because I think it's Adrian Smith's anthem in many ways. This is his
Yeah.
track. This is his contribution to
Yeah.
heavy metal history or rock history in many ways, I would say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have to put it high, and it's a killer song. It's a great song. And the fact that the intro comes 3 times, they do take the time, and every time it comes, it's as cool as last time, and different kind of ways to build themselves out of it or end the song then at the end. But in the middle where it gets full on rhythm in behind there with Nico and Steve and preparing for the solos, but they still play it a couple of more times with full rhythm in it. It's a very, very good song.
I will say that it always sort of bothers me a little when they play this song live that Adrian always starts it off at 1 speed, and as soon as the song kicks in, Nico just runs, the tempo just runs away. And when you listen to them playing this like on it's a Beast Over Hammersmith, maybe. Is it on that? I can't remember. Rock in Rio or something.
Beast Over Hammersmith is too early, so it must be like made in England probably.
Made in
Because
England. That's
that
what
was
I'm
the
thinking
time
of.
of high
Yeah.
speed. Yeah.
It is just so fast, and it just the tempo just keeps
Yep.
getting it. This is a song that if the way it's recorded is just perfect. The pocket and the rhythm that it sits in, the groove that it has, and when that verse is really, just right there in the pocket, especially when the guitar solos come up and Steve's doing those bass fills and everything. But sometimes when they play it live, it's just way too fast and it ruins the feel of the song for me. It's really got to be right in that. There's some songs that you can play them faster live and it just gives them
like
more energy.
Trooper sounds great, slightly too fast, but this song, the 09, no, the 09 version on Flight 666, that's a great live rendition of this track. And I always thought it was kind of cool that Nico sped it up because I thought it was because of that riff not being super comfortable to play without anyone behind you in full speed. So I always thought it was a elaborate rise in tempo, and I kind of thought that was cool. But that said, it's way too fast on Made in England. It kills the song, or like Adrian himself said, chokes the life out of the song.
Yeah,
it kind of does. And the intro when we cover this song, I love the intro. I mean, it starts with drums and lead guitar. Just the kick and the hi-hat and Christian and Emil, they always go in at the perfect tempo. They're really like, both of them are super locked in guys, very fun to play with. And I agree with you there. Like I feel like the right tempo for this song is the right tempo for this song. It's not that adaptable into different speeds. It needs that bit of the da 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 da, not that da 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 da. It's like, what's this? Is it polka?
Yeah. All right. Number 2 for me is the title track, Caught Somewhere in Time. I think this does what Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner tries to do, but I think it does it way better. I love the energy. I love it's a perfect album opener. It starts off with those sort of hanging chords and everything, and then when the whole thing just kicks in, it's just them really locked in. The whole band just flying. The chorus of the song is great, and it's just such a high energy track. It just kicks the album off really, really strong. Love it. So lands at number 2 for me.
And you know where it lands for me, right? It's the one. It's the best. I love this song. Love it to bits. And that was the first song I heard on record, at least. I don't think I might not even have heard Wasted Years when I bought that CD in 98. I know in early 2000s it was like year 2000 or 99. Anyway, first song on is this one. And this is something maybe that you would appreciate. It was the first time I understood what the bass guitar was listening to this song, because you have the build up, right?
Yeah.
The melody that later is interpreted by Bruce vocally in the chorus, which is also cool to connect the chorus to the intro. And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
and when Steve comes in clucking, that was the first time in my life. Oh, okay, that's what the bass does. That's how you differentiate bass and guitar, because I was 12 or so at the time, and it's always going to be my reference for a cool entry of bass. I mean, we talked Killers last time, great bass intros on that, but to me, the way the bass comes in here is so assertive. It's like that Steve leads the band, and that he wrote the song when you hear it, or at least I do. And love this build-up intro, and then it's just pummeling for the whole song, which is also really cool. Look at some long songs like Phantom; it has its softer part. Keep Your Distance and the solo, or look at Hallowed. It's pretty dead on, but it has a clean intro, and then slows down doomily in the middle. Whereas this song has no slowdowns. Once it gets going, it's going. Incredible guitar solos again. Perfect tempo. It's like 165 or something. It's a great tempo for the heavy metal gallop, and a song I definitely model ideas by. When I get ideas, this is one of those songs that's like, what would Steve have done on the title track of Summer in Time in '86, because he just did it right. I think it's an incredible tune, and this is the one that I would actually be sad to miss in the 23 set. I feel like this is obligatory, and with the Blade Runner intro and that, and I think it's what they're going to do. So definitely hope that. I'm more stressed about that fact, whether or not this is in, than Alexander. But I think both will be, and that's incredible if they are.
Yeah, this would certainly be one heck of a. Can you imagine them opening up? You can just hear it. That intro could be a taped intro. Type of thing, like the way they do Aces High, where they're off stage with the and you can just totally hear those hanging chords, and then when the whole thing kicks in, the band comes running out. I mean, it's just made.
I think it would lend itself good to 3 guitars as well. I think 3 guitars would work great, but please, Adrian has to have his solo. No Janik there. No Janik there, please. that would be absolute sacrilege. I'm a Janik supporter, but that solo has to be with Adrian for sure. It's a great solo, one of the best.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number one, I guess by process of elimination, Stranger in a Strange Land. I've always loved this one. I love the mood of it. I love the way the song builds, especially that what's the line here? What became of the man that started? That whole part is
cool
just
chords. It's a climbing kind of Smith thing, like in Flight of Icarus, with the pre-chorus in Flight of Icarus. It's similarly that you climb up. It's either power chords or you stretch out to get the minor sixth on some of them. It's a very Smithy thing to do, and it sounds so smooth, so seamless when you do that. And then, of course, the singing melody on top. What became of the man that started? All are gone, and the souls departed. It comes together perfectly.
That's a fantastic, and just the chorus in it is great. I love when everything sort of drops down and Steve has that little bass solo. His bass sounds really like in the verses here, where he's just sort of chugging along on his open string, and the guys are playing those hanging chords over the top. I think it sounds great, and I just love the mood of the song. And when I think about it, Iron Maiden doesn't do a ton of songs that sort of it's definitely not a ballad. It's not slow enough to be a ballad, but it's
kind of cowboy, in a great way. It's a bit cowboy, space cowboy, that's what I think about. Like,
it's very like
laid back.
Very laid back. It's not something that they do very often, but it has a moody feel to it. It's got some atmosphere to it, and I think that Bruce's delivery in the song is just great. And this this is another one that the video, the video didn't get played quite as much as Wasted Years, but this video got played like crazy here on
That's cool because no
MTV.
one's seen that. I mean, if you look at YouTube, I'm not going to look it up right now, but I can assure you it's not that many hits on this particular.
Yeah, it's like really weird, and it's strange that uh this is a song that I haven't looked at the set list statistics, but it's one they don't really play, and it's sort of shocking that it doesn't appear in their sets because
Yeah, not since the tour, not since the Summer in Time World Tour.
yeah,
I've only
and
tried it thrice on the
I think
99
it could
tour.
and again, I'm talking from my experience here, MTV in North America or in the US, you heard this song like crazy a lot. So I think
Right.
people would recognize it, and it would also kind of serve like, again, it has a little bit of a different feel than a lot of their other stuff. And so I think in a set, it could, you could have something, a couple rippers, and then this would be a good like catch your breath
Yep.
kind of song, kind of landing somewhere in the middle, second half of the set.
Yep.
Somewhere I could picture this one coming in, and it's a real nice showcase for me, for Bruce. You get Bruce in the verse. He's not shouting, but he sounds kind of like
Storytelling.
storytelling in the verse, and then when the chorus comes up, he does get to sort of go
Bluesy.
into the
Kind of
air
bluesy
raid.
chorus, which I love, with the
Yeah,
bend. I don't know what you call that when you're singing. I know on guitars it would be a bend, right?
yeah,
But just the way he goes in between the notes in the chorus is
yeah,
very bluesy, in a song that is futuristic. So that's why you get the whole, dichotomy, I guess, space cowboy feel that
yeah.
I have in the song. I think it's a very good pick it was my number 4, but I think it's a very good pick as a number 1, because it's a totally unique song also in the catalog. They don't have any song of this ilk. They don't. Maybe some other bands do, but this is the one in Maiden. Maybe like
In the mix of this
Eldorado
record,
is a bit like it. Maybe Eldorado, but not
yeah,
really.
the mix on the album, I think, also really serves this song
Yeah.
well. You're talking about it being a sci-fi cowboy song. It
Mhm.
does feel very like, I never really thought of this, but I always thought Stranger in a Strange Land. I always thought like of a guy in space going to a different planet, or like it fits with the
Yeah.
album cover, the sci-fi theme of the album and the album cover. I never thought of it like a medieval sounding song, or something like that. It always had a sort of a futuristic feel to it, to me. And I think the mix, some people complain about the mix on this album being a little too reverbed out and stuff, but I think it
Come on.
works really
Come
well.
on.
Yeah, it works really well here, especially in the verses when they're just
Yep.
sort of hanging, those chords are just sort of, ringing out and everything, and Steve's little bass solo. So,
Yeah. Great.
all right,
Great.
my number one, Stranger in a
You're
Strange
number 1.
Land. All right,
Yeah.
so let's.
Good choice.
I don't know if you remember what you just did. You were just doing them off the top of your head, weren't you?
Yeah, but I think I can emotionally I can
Okay,
retrace
give
rather.
us your 8 through 1 again.
Yeah, and then you watching this, you can correct me if I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was number 8, Heaven Can Wait. Number 7 was Sea of Madness. Number 6 was Loneliness. Okay, gotta pick the album up here. Number 6 was Loneliness, and then it must have been Deja Vu on number 5. Yeah, number 4 was Stranger. Number 3 was Alexander. Number 2, Wasted Years, and number 1, title track, Cause Summer in Time.
All right, for me, 8 was Heaven Can Wait. 7 was Loneliness and Long Distance Runner. 6 was Deja Vu. 5 was Sea of Madness. 4 was Wasted Years. 3 was Alexander the Great. 2 was Caught Somewhere in Time, and 1 was Stranger in a Strange Land. Okay, so there you go. There's our ranking of the songs on Iron Maiden's Somewhere in Time album. Let us know what you thought of our order. Let us know how you would rank these songs on this album. I'd like to thank Jonathan again for joining me here at the Lair. I pretty much feel very confident that Jonathan will be back in the future.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure you check out both his podcasts and his YouTube channel that I will be linking down below. And until we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal.
Stay heavy, stay metal, and stay in the alchemist lair. Make gold.